I was just in my studio putting some handles on my mugs. I had a workshop on Saturday, a mug making workshop, and I just had to put some handles on. And while that was happening, my dog was barking. Here's my alarm bell. He always tells me when there's a delivery because he hates the van. But I got a notice that I was getting these today. I am so excited. I can't wait to use these. And I'll show you what they are. I'm actually looking forward to maybe this being a workshop one day when I'm in my studio to make your own dining set pieces. Because this is a slab building Kiln pottery tools. They are in Australia. They're located in Australia, and they make wooden. How would you say it? Wooden presses for you to make your bowls and stuff. And I've been sent, oh, this is so cool, nicely packaged. I think these are the bowls. Oh, yes. So, oh, these are so nice. They're just so well made. Nothing off, Temu or Shein. So they're wooden presses. And then you get your sponge and you press into it with your clay and it makes that shape. So all hand built, nothing on the wheel. Oh, so these are the bowls. They're quite deep ones. You get a little handle that obviously screws into it and you push down into it. And these are the plates. So 3 different sizes and then 3 different size bowls. Oh, so nice. I don't even want to open them because they're just so nicely packaged. I've just unwrapped them all. So here's my big foam. So you'll lay a bit of clay and you would get, so I've just done my, so these are the plate ones. Nice. And I've got my screw top. So this is the handle that goes with them. And you put your clay and then you'll press into it like so. And then you'll cut around the edge. And that will be your your plate shape. Oh, nice. So handle. Cool. Nice. Just so beautifully made. They've got their stamp on there. They're quite heavy and sturdy. Fun. All right, let's put some more handles on before they dry out too quick. Sometimes I do let them put their handles on, but I don't like to put handles on straight away. I like usually do them like 24 hours after because I feel like the mug just isn't stable enough and very flimsy, and then you're putting it back on something that's quite wet and wet. I like them to be a little bit like, you can still move this around. And you want the handle to stay on there. So I kind of let the handle dry a little bit more. I used to let them put on a handle, but every time I'd come home, I would have to prop them up. They'll be all floppy and the mug would all warp, and yeah, so I like to put the handle on for them. Then I know that it's going to survive. They're going to use it, because the amount of people that try to put handles on and they're too big, too small, they crack, they fall off. I mean, handles is a whole other technique in itself. So I want them to have a mug that they actually are going to use. And I think the handle, having a proper handle will help that. I actually have a video on my YouTube channel on how I make mugs and also how I do my handles for beginners if you are interested. Everyone does them differently. I feel like this is just a really good beginner's handle. I do want to do some more practice on pulling handles, but this is just my go-to. It's safe, and I feel like everyone can do this if I did need to show or teach someone how to do it. Handle. And I've got my little making sure that your mug stays circular, doesn't warp. I'm just getting in my studio just quickly because I have to put a glaze firing on and then I've got a workshop this afternoon, and I just finished the gym, so a bit of a mess and a sweat, so I need to go have a shower. But I'm just going to, because I didn't have much to put in this glaze firing, I'm going to put in some of my pyramids and hoping that they don't run and get stuck to the kiln. These are my bigger ones, so I've wiped off as much as I can. I'm just on my last one. I've wiped off as much as I can because I have put my Wonder White glaze on it, and it did run a little, which it usually doesn't, but it ran just a little bit, and so that little bit longer, it just little tiny bits got stuck to the shelf, and so it chipped the inside of my small pyramid. So I've got a whole stack over there that I can't usually use, that I can't actually use because of the chips. So I'm hoping my bigger ones work out. This is my last one, and then I'll pack it. And then I've got these mugs that I just glazed from last month's workshop, and then I did that 10-year-olds workshop, and that's all their little mugs and little bowls that they made. So I'm going to get that on, and then I've got to do some clay prep for my workshop today. I'm in at Newcastle today for a public cheese and dip platter workshop. So I'm going to quickly put this on and then get all that prepped, and then go in and have a shower. Just fixing up some spots. That should be right. Right, what one do we need? These. Make sure they are not touching, as this is a glaze firing. You want that heat kind of flowing in between your work. Double check, might give that another extra little clean. Please do not stick to the shelf. It's always my work, never anyone else's work, it's always mine. Why is that? Oh, one more pyramid. Is that gonna fit? Oh, please fit. All right, they all fit in. Got my pyramids, some mugs, and some little mugs from the girls' workshop. Let's close that up. Get that started. Clay prep. All right, clay prep from my cheese and dip platter workshop, which I have today. Got my scales there. Everyone gets a kilo of clay for their platter, and then I give them 200 grams for their dip bowl. So I usually get them to make their platter first, decorate it, cut it whatever shape they want. And while it's drying for a bit before you kind of put up the edges, or if you want to do a wave or whatever, while that's drying, I'll get them to make their little dip bowl, which we use a pinch pot technique to do that. So, which is pretty straightforward, which I get a lot of kids to do in that. So, yeah, kilo of clay is enough for a big enough platter. You don't want too big, especially for your first time doing it. If you don't know how to do ceramics or rolling out clay, you got to get the thickness right, especially if it's your first time. And if you don't, that can cause problems along the way. When it dries, it can start cracking. If it's thick or thin on different edges, then it could crack in the kiln. If it's too thin on some edges, while you pick it up, that can just cut in half because of the weight is uneven. So I think a kilo clay is big enough, and obviously my boards that they roll their work on restrict them from going any bigger. So you keep it around that. Again, it does shrink a bit, but it's your first time doing it. I'm not going to do anything too extravagant. And then they've also got to fit in my kiln, so I can't do anything too long because I've only got a little kiln. I'd love for them to make something bigger one day. When I have my studio up and running, we can do that, because then they can make it and they can just leave it there. I don't have to travel in the car with their work. Just makes it easier for them, and I don't have to touch it, and it just dries there naturally on the shelves. Because once they've made their platter, I have to pick it up from my board, from their board, and put it in the trays that I have to travel home in. So I'm constantly touching it, and then I've got to get it out, and then I've got to put it somewhere for it to dry, which I'm very restricted with room. So I'm constantly touching it. But once I have my studio up and running, they can move theirs to their board, and I don't even have to touch it until it's time to fire it, which would be really good. At the moment, I just have to make use of what I've got and what I can do with travelling workshops until they're up and running in my studio, and I can kind of be more adventurous with my workshops and what people can make. I had a workshop on Saturday. We did a cheese and platter dip workshop, and because I was just busy so much yesterday, which was Sunday, I haven't been able to unpack their work. So I'm going to go through that, and also my kiln was ready to unpack. So I cracked it last night, and I've just opened it, and what I can see so far is promising. Again, these little mugs, a bunch of 10-year-olds made at a 10th birthday party. Aren't they cute? Could definitely use that with my Wonder White glaze. Just makes them a little bit whiter, because they do use the Raku clay, but they are super cute. Like, even like little planters they could be. Oh, that's cute. Oh, it's got Summer. I'm guessing that's her name. In my pyramids. All right, so first one doesn't look like it got stuck. Yes, nice. I can do the walls a bit thicker. These are from my first batch that I made. They do kind of warp just a little bit, and like bow and then flare. So I might have to do them about 10-inch. I think that's 8, 7 or 8. And then another one. I made sure that I cleaned the bottoms of these a lot better than last time, because it does run. Interesting. I've just noticed it actually runs when there's grooves. When it's flat, it doesn't. But the grooves, obviously, the glaze goes in the texture a bit more, and so there's a lot more there, thickness, and so it runs down. And because they're standing like that, obviously it's going to run down, and it just pulls a little bit. Just on there, you can kind of see a little bit down there. That's not too bad. Obviously, the thicker in the grooves, the more it kind of has that little drippy effect. But it doesn't do it on my mugs because obviously the texture isn't as deep. Okay, you learn these things as you go. Oh, that got stuck a little bit. Oh, not too bad. Not too bad. And this one ran a lot there. Lucky I did. Wipe them off because that's almost close to touching. Very, very close. Right there. It's very, very thick there. So I reckon it goes in all these grooves, and then obviously it needs to run down that way. It's got nowhere else to go. Oh, it did there as well, right there, and a little bit there in the corner over there. Yeah, there and there, but not in the middle. Interesting. All right, last one. Oh, didn't get stuck. Nice. I'm happy with these. I can use these. Thank God. Thank God I can use these. That's really nice. I absolutely love, I say this every single time, that glaze on that clay. Let's see if I can get a little close up. I love that rustic look. All right, what else do I have? Some more little mugs from the 10th birthday. Oh, and I've got some mugs at the back there from another workshop. These are super cute. Hope they are happy with these because I definitely am. My daughters would be, so, and they're the same age. Very cute. All right, mugs. Ooh, nice. I love the pattern on that. Look at the pattern. Even got at the bottom there. Oh, such a good feeling when you open the kiln and everything works out. All right, let's get rid of that. Oh, cute. There's the same pattern on that one. Pattern at the bottom. Oh, nice. I'm gonna have to make some mugs with this pattern. That one there. Pattern at the bottom too. And two more. Oh, everyone's really loving this pattern. Oh, that's mine that I made. Oh, I did make one. You just forget. I just forget. They sit there on the shelf and you just forget what you've made. Nice. And then this is my one that I made because I only had a couple of people in the workshop. So I made my little, I usually make a little demo so people can see what I'm making, but I usually just scrunch it up after because I don't get time to assemble it together and put a handle on. But I think I only had like 4 or 5 people. So I decided I'm going to make my own. And now people know what that print looks like when they want to make it. That's going inside for another mug. Nice. Oh, I'm happy with that. Don't know if I shared these mugs. These are from less than 2 weeks ago workshop. Not last weekend, but the weekend before. It was a private workshop. A group of friends got together to make a mug, and then this was the weekend's platter. Obviously there's nothing on them because I've just flipped them over the other side. I'll put some weight on them, making sure they don't warp and dry too quickly, and I'll cover them up and keep checking on them. But that's that new print that's really nice, and then everyone likes that kind of organic leaf print. That's nice there with the two different leaves there. Weeds. Weeds from a backyard.